just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 75. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and NBA free agency is here. We're living in it, and we have a lot to talk about with the Knicks and with the Nets, as it's been about 48-ish hours, if you're listening to this, as free agency continues to roll on. Don't forget, guys, please go ahead and give 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download this bad boy, and you can find us on YouTube. Type in Bad Weather Fans. You can get the video version of this. Alex, we've got a lot to chat about with the Knicks, the moves they made, the Nets, the moves they have made, and everything going around the association. And like usual, you're having fun on Twitter at Knicks Central. So how the hell are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Having a good time, man. I'm sure I'm wearing the Jets hat, man. I thought you wanted to discuss like Chris Herndon and the Jets tight end situation, or
no interest at all. That doesn't interest me one bit, to be quite honest.
That was a big story.
I want to hear your passion.
There is no story.
I want to hear your passion about the Knicks and the free agency moves they made. First off, they bring back a lot of your guys. The big difference is Evan Fournier's coming in. Reggie Bullock is out.
Yep.
But that's the major move. Rose locked up.
Noel
locked up.
Burks
locked up. And that's the Knicks offseason.
So far. They still have some cap left, and there's something with, I'm not a capologist, and neither are you. And like people just tell me, can they do this? And I'm like, okay, that's good. I don't really care. But something with Rose's early bird rights, if they do it and they sign him to maybe $200,000 less, they can afford a lot more, not a lot more. They can afford X amount more money, maybe $7 million. I maybe get my numbers off. I don't want to act like I know what I'm talking about. But something like if they can do that, then they can make another move, and they might do a sign and trade with the Mavs to send Bullock to the Mavs, so where Bullock signs, so they can get a trade exception back, and then maybe make a deal somewhere else, maybe obtain like a Schroeder or who's the other guy I was telling you yesterday, the other point guard that might be available. There's another Reggie Jackson, maybe. There's like guys out there that might be available via side and trade. I think it was Reggie Jackson. It was another guy, like another veteran. It might be him, but and those I would be happy with. Get me another veteran point guard. I'm very happy they brought back Derrick Rose. They had to. He was like the whole team in the playoffs. I know they lost, but he was like, he's just like a coach on the floor. He's like a different player at this back end of his career. Taj Gibson came back too on a vet minimum. It doesn't count against the cap, so that's fine. You know what I mean? I was just like, okay, whatever. Taj Gibson's back. You know what I mean? It's the backup center. They signed him halfway through the season last year or something like that, or a quarter of the way in. Who cares? So. That was fine. I was so pumped up when they got Evan Fournier, right? I always feel like I mess up his name. And he is a tough guy. He gets in players' faces like your boy. I'm not going to joke around that because the Celtics lost that series when he called Durant a bitch, but that was still funny. And he can shoot. He's not as great of a shooter as his perception is. You look at him like, wow, he's a shooter. And he's like really not that great of a shooter, but he can shoot, and he'll shoot it, and he can make it. He can get hot. Bottom line, he'll give you 15. Sure. They'll give you 15, 17 a night consistently. And the thing about all these deals, they're all tradable contracts. Nobody got signed to a max. Nobody got signed to a super max. I got to tell you, when I saw these deals come through, I celebrated. And guess what? I didn't even look at the salaries. I didn't even care what the salaries were. People obsess over the salaries. The salaries increase every year. The cap increases every year. Can you believe he got $18 million? Can you believe this guy got this amount of money? Who cares? You know what I mean? This is not like they didn't sign Jerome James. You know what I mean? Evan Fournier is a 7-year pro. He's he can step in. I was kind of upset that they chose Burks over Bullock. I thought Bullock was more like part of one of the heart and soul of the team last year, which I was kind of upset that they got rid of him over Burks. But I think Burks showed he can have bigger nights. When they have their big night, I think Burks has the bigger night. You know what I'm saying? Neither of them are the consistent player, but Burks can drop 30. You know what I mean? Bullock is not going to do that. You know what I mean? So maybe that they saw that there. And bringing Noel back, it just all boils down to this. It's not about this. It's not about the free agent signings. It's not about any of that. It's not about they brought everybody. They ran it back, right? People are using that as a derogatory term. They ran it back. Can you believe the Knicks ran it back? No, they didn't. First of all, they upgraded Bullock to Fournier. Secondly, let's not forget the core of the Knicks team last year, besides Julius Randle, who was the key to everything. And let's assume he's just the same production as last year, right? RJ Barrett is 21 years old. He's going to get better. Emmanuel Quickley is a kid too. He's going to get better. Obi Toppin, jury is out. I don't know how much better he's going to get. I'm not going to lie to you. I hope he does. I love the kid. But people go into every season thinking players are going to play exactly the same. We did it last year. We do it every year. We look at the standings. Who's going to switch this? And everything flip-flops. There's always 3 or 4 teams we don't expect to be good that are good, and teams that we don't expect to be bad that are bad due to injuries or whatever. But RJ Barrett is going to take a step. Mitchell Robinson's going to be healthy. Let's hope he stays healthy, and he put on a lot of muscle. Then you have Noel in the back, holding down the forward. Taj is there too. So you're set. You know what I mean? So, and then you don't know about this kid Grimes. Maybe he comes in, has a couple of good games. He's got a good jump shot. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But to act like the Knicks are going to be, or they're running it back, and that's somehow a derogatory term. The Knicks were the 4 seed last year. Let's not forget. You know what I mean? They weren't a 7 seed and snuck in the play tournament, got into the playoffs. They were the 4 seed. I know they got embarrassed in the playoffs, and that really brought the last season down a notch for me and for a lot of people. And I think that's why their perception is kind of low, as oh my God, they're bringing this team back. They had a couple bad games, and it was embarrassing. It really was. But don't forget, they ended the season winning 16 of their last 20 games. And they got the 4 seed. And that was when they weren't just sneaking up on teams anymore. You know what I'm saying? They were going, and they were playing ball, and they were beating the Clippers in LA on national TV. They were doing well. So I just had to say that. The idea of running it back is not negative. You know what I mean? They brought back their guys, and they brought back the good guys. You know what I mean? It's not hey, let's bring back Dennis Smith Jr. from, the trade. We can bring him back. You know what I mean? They're not doing that. You know what I mean? Frank Ntilikina they haven't brought him back yet. He might come back. I don't know. Kevin Knox is playing the summer league. We'll see what happens there, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? Outsider's perspective.
Well, I wanted to hear everything you had to say. And obviously,
I think I have more to say, but I want to hear what your thoughts are first.
I was very surprised that the Knicks did actually just keep re-signing their own guys. And I say that because I think it's more of an uncommon thing to do. And the year before, they signed these players at minimum deals. And then I would say a lot of them overachieved and really had spectacular seasons. I'd be weary of guys overachieving, bringing them back, and then giving them multi-year deals because of how well they played within the Knicks organization. Now, you could, on the other side, you could say, well, they played well, they signed them, they then wanted to reward them for how well they played, keep them in the system, they could play better, yada, yada, yada. They're going to continue to overachieve with the Knicks. It would scare me that they gave them longer term deals. Now, that would worry me a little bit, but it's on massive contracts where they can make, they didn't make a monster mistake. They didn't do anything that's going to hinder them or hurt them in the future when they need to go out there and be great when it matters at its core at the most. I just thought the Knicks offseason was kind of blah. I didn't think it was bad. It wasn't as good as these other teams, but it wasn't anything sexy. I mean, Evan Fournier definitely is an upgrade from Reggie Bullock. He definitely gives them a little toughness. I shouldn't say that because he's not as good of a defender, but he's a little bit of an edge to him, and he's definitely a more productive offensive player in the sense of he's not as good of a shooter as Reggie, but if he gets hot, he's a better scorer. He can do things for himself. Consistent. Yeah, and he's a guy that you can ask to get buckets. He's somebody that can do that. It would worry me that the Knicks didn't really address the point guard thing. They did bring back Derrick Rose, but we saw in the playoffs that was not enough. They need somebody else on the point guard side of things. So I just thought the Knicks offseason was kind of blah. It wasn't splashy. It wasn't exciting. I'm surprised with how many guys they decided to re-sign as opposed to go on the outside to try to upgrade the roster. And maybe they tried. Although it did seem like a lot of the guys came in early and often in that first set of night on Monday. But I was surprised by that. But I do agree that in the long run, it's all on what happens internally and what goes on that front. That's what's going to be the big difference. Like the rest of it is all bullshit in that sense. But I would say it's a little bit of fool's gold with the Knicks as the 4 seed. And I'll tell you why. There was 4, 5, and 6 were within one game of each other. The Hawks destroyed the Knicks. So I would put the Hawks a spot ahead of the Knicks on that front, and then I'd put the Heat in front also based on who they signed this offseason.
Yeah,
so I do think it's a little bit of a misconception on that front. The Celtics were a fucking disaster. They were just a complete and utter mess. Injuries destroyed them. So just to say, yes, they were the 4 seed, and there's nothing I can say to take that away. But I would say it's not as a clear-cut 4 as it looks. If you take a deeper dive and look at the standings and what happened, it's not as if they're the 4 seed and you'd expect them to keep that. I think if you're a Knicks fan and you were the 4 again, I think I'd be pretty surprised.
That's fair. But it's also, you guys were celebrating the 6th seed, and the Nets 6th seed, and they were within a game too.
It's not about the Nets and celebrating.
It's not.
The 6th seed.
I'm just giving you perspective.
Of course. And when the Nets made that move, when the Nets were the 6th seed, and then they upgraded and they got Kyrie Irving and brought in all these guys, I expected them to be a little bit better. And then you know what? The season was worse. They ended up not having as good of a season, but that was.
But they expected that with Durant was going to be hurt this season. And
it was a weird year. It was
the COVID year and whatever.
It was right. With the COVID year to add another wrinkle to it. I would just say be weary of the Knicks as a 4 and make the assumption that that's what's going to happen, because they got there, but the Hawks, the Heat, the Celtics, it was all
better
jumbled
now.
up at the end.
Oh, so sorry. You're talking about last year. Yeah.
And I believe this. I think Washington will be very improved with Dinwiddie at the point. I expect them to be better as well. You laugh.
Yeah.
They'll be better than 37 and 45. Or
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. No, but it's okay. No, but the whole thing is like, let's not speak so definitively though yet that the Knicks offseason is over, because they can't even sign these guys officially yet. So we don't even know what the contracts are yet. We don't know who's structured where. Like I was talking about Derrick Rose and the early bird rights and however NBA manipulation of the cap, however, capologists can do it. You know what I mean? They can save more money. They can also make another deal and get a point guard. And they may get Sexton. They may get Schroeder. They may get Reggie Jackson. They may not. You know what I mean? They may, Vildoza might show up and be the best player we've ever seen. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I've heard in the Olympics, he hasn't looked that great. You know what I mean? But he's backing up, what's his name, with the Denver point guard with a C, the little guy that's French. I forgot his name. Whatever. So he's backing him up in the Olympics. I can't think of his name. I want to say Chioza, like your boy Cheese, but it's not him. It's Campazzo. I think that's his name. But anyway. That's who Vildoza is backing up there. But and also if they cut Vildoza, if they're not happy with him, then they can get even more money on the cap this year as well. And he's non-guaranteed, so they can clear that. So if there's somebody Campazzo, there you go. So yeah, he's backing him up and on the France team. So maybe he's not that good, Vildoza. We don't know, but maybe he's like a Pablo Prigioni. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's somebody like that. But either way, if you had a choice of a guy like Pablo Prigioni or cutting him and going and making a trade for like a Sexton or like a, or even a Schroeder, I do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we don't know what the offseason is yet. So speaking so definitively, people were like ready to jump off a bridge after 3 hours into the offseason. That was just like it wasn't even the real offseason yet. You know what I mean? And don't you find it funny? This is like a sidebar. NBA starts their legal tampering period and 6:01 players are signing. Like you're telling me it took you 30 seconds to sign. So you weren't like, can we stop with this fake, moratorium? Like, can we just open it up after the draft? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, what are you supposed to do? They have to have a time when it starts. Obviously people are talking. I think it's one of those wink, wink. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But they have to make an official start time. I mean, they have to put something out there. What's that?
Yeah, it makes it really dramatic because everybody was locked in on Twitter. 6 o'clock, like everybody's like, "Oh, let's go!" And it was like literally 6 o'clock. Boom, 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 boom. Like it was coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Westbrook
crazy.
Traded this. Well, that was Westbrook was a draft, but you know what I mean? Like all these other things were coming in.
It's funny to me how people get really into Woj versus Shams and who has the pick first. Like really passionate. I mean, like I'm not saying like, oh, who's getting this? Whoa, is that like? I mean, it's become a spectacle of its own. These two guys going back and forth with who has news first, and then like every so often, it's like Chris Haynes sneaks in, Mark Stein sneaks in. Oh my God, it's the local guy from Phoenix got one, and it's like they sneak in there. But it's fascinating the amount of energy and excitement. People get really competitive. I'm a Woj guy. I'm a Shams guy. It's like okay.
Like, who cares? Just give me the news. I just think it's funny. I think that's all funny.
So
I think it's
funny. No, I know. It's not serious. It's kind of all.
Yeah.
And I tweeted this out earlier today I've never seen a time when there's more internal debate, internal fights with fan bases. It's not like Knicks Nets getting at each other. It's just it's like separate fan bases having their own arguments over each other in what's the right or wrong move. And it's just fascinating to watch. Like, oh my God, I'm a James Johnson guy. I don't like James Johnson. Patty Mills, we can all come together and celebrate. We all love Patty Mills. Should we have brought back it's unbelievable. Everybody going at each other. It's the only time I've seen Nets Twitter actually like fight amongst themselves. Usually it's one big hugging love fest for all things Nets.
No, and that's really funny. That's a good point, because and then it becomes that these fans get into their followers and the people that they talk to, and they indirectly develop scripts. Like, let's say like, oh, Westbrook, those triple doubles don't really mean anything. Okay. And then it becomes like, Drummond stinks because of this and this and this. DeRozan can't even shoot threes, so he's not good. And then this guy, and it just becomes the same lines you see everywhere. And it's just like, dude, you're just reading off a teleprompter. Can you like look at these things realistically? DeRozan was one of the most productive players in the NBA last year. Yeah, he doesn't shoot threes anymore, but it's not like he can't. He just doesn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen him shoot threes. You know what I mean? He's never been that great.
Guy. He's a mid-range
guy, and that's okay. And like, he doesn't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still showing he can average 20 a game and not shoot a three. And like that, I mean, is that bad? I mean, is that a bad thing? Like, he's still a 4-time All-Star. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like he came off a season where he's having 12 points a game. You know what I mean? Shooting 30%. So like, let's relax with calling him stinks.
I guess, and we'll talk about the Nets too. But I guess I'd be interested from a Knicks fan. What would have made them happier?
That's the thing. I don't know. I
looked at this offseason. There's nobody to throw all the money at.
There's no Durant, Kawhi. Kawhi's not realistic, and he's gonna be out for the season.
Right.
You know
There's no Durant. There's no Kyrie Irving. There's no mega superstar out there that's going to be like. There's no game-changing talent that you say, okay, here's
Anthony
the franchise
Davis or whatever. Yeah, there's nothing like that. Yeah.
With that in mind, what would the idea have been? And I said this earlier in the podcast. I don't think the Knicks offseason has been nothing too exciting. It's still early. Like I said, Fournier is an upgrade, but again, I think some teams have made better moves. But again, this is all the offseason. We'll see what happens.
Right.
What then? Because I see people complaining. What would be the better alternative? Throw money at DeMar DeRozan, bring him in. You want to bring in an Ennis Canner? Should they instead of signing, let's say, Derrick Rose and bringing back Burks, should they just have used all that money and lumped it onto Alonzo Ball? Like, would that have made more sense?
Something like that.
What is the alternative? And then say, this is who we're rolling with. I
don't know, man.
I do give the Knicks credits for saying, you know what? We're going to stick to our plan of developing young players. We're going to stick to our plan of keeping our core intact. Let's not blow all of our salary cap on guys like Alonzo Ball. Like, to me, I'd rather give Derrick Rose a couple of bucks, and I still think they overpaid slightly for him, and the years were high.
I think the years were too much.
I'd rather give him a contract than Lonzo Ball. I love Spencer Dinwiddie. To me, he was the number one option with the Knicks if they could have gotten him at that kind of rate. I know you don't like him, and I know you think he's coming off an injury.
We've been through that.
But to me, like, in my mind, give, and I know you said the money stuff. I do think the money stuff matters over years because it's a math game and it's a puzzle down the line when you're lining up things to get to the spot you need to be at. I would have gone with the Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't think he ever wanted to be a Knick. I don't think he had interest in being with the Knicks. He's trashed the franchise up and down. I don't think he wanted to be playing for Dolan. I really don't think
he would look like a hypocrite.
I don't think I would. I think he was like never interested. But I think the Knicks, it was meh, but I think for them it's about internal growth with their draft picks. The part that would interest me is then why did they keep trading out of 19 and 21? I guess maybe like what was the rationale for that if their whole plan was just to re-sign their own guys to begin with?
Well, they were also in on Kendrick Nunn. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw
they
that.
They were in on Kendrick Nunn, but Nunn decided to take a $5 million deal and a player option for next year, which he'll decline, obviously, and try to win a championship. And that's just what it is. And then next year, Kendrick Nunn, if he makes some big shots, he'll sign a big deal, get $20 million, and he'll be fine. You know what I mean? So it's just, I get that. I respect that. That's not like, oh, the Knicks couldn't even sign Kendrick. No,
it's
it's
personal
like
decision.
the Lakers
Somebody
gave him.
wants to, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine, but that just shows, and that happened after all those guys signed. That was today, as the free agency started yesterday. Today is today's Tuesday night. So this is day 2. So that happened on day 2 after the initial wave. So the Knicks are still looking to sign a point guard. That shows the Knicks are looking to make another move. Like, this isn't it. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Like, they're running it back. No, they're not. Like, they're trying to upgrade, and they're assuming that their players are going to get better, which is so part of running it back, I guess. But they're not done. I'm just saying they are not done. They're going to do something else, or they're going to try to do something else. And if not, then let's go with Rose and quickly, and let's, sign like a low-level point guard that, like an Avery Bradley or something, and let's go. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? And then we'll see what we got. And maybe quickly takes a step. Maybe Rose does the same thing again he did last year. And they're not bringing Elfrid Payton back. Let's stop with the BS troll tweets with from reporters and making up things like, oh, I know the Knicks called Elfrid Payton. Elfrid Payton's not coming back. They benched him in the middle of the playoffs.
He doesn't want to be there.
The team. Yeah, his mom's trashing the team, laughing at the Knicks for losing to the Hawks. You think the Knicks are going to sign that guy?
He doesn't want to be with the Knicks either.
He'd rather go play in China, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Like, make more, I mean, and more power to him. I don't blame him. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy, man. And like going back to your question, what would make the Knicks fans happy? I don't know. Like, that's the thing I don't know. This offseason was so wild, where it's like, would Lonzo Ball make you happy? Colin Sexton make you happy with this? And that's where the reading off a teleprompter thing comes in, where it's just, you just like start, if you talk to enough people on Twitter or just fans in general, they start to develop like one opinion and one sentence that just comes for, it's like, oh, Sexton is why did Cleveland get rid of him? Why did DeRozan, he can't shoot threes? You know what I mean? It's just like, it just becomes the same thing. Like, you're a fucking robot. Like, how about you use some context and like have an opinion of your own? You know what I mean? So it's just, that's not, you don't have to go against the norm, but give me something else. Like, don't just tell me like, oh, DeRozan can't shoot threes. Okay, well, you want to go down the line of his other statistics and how he's been productive? Yeah, he was in San Antonio, so you didn't watch a game of his because they're boring. But like, give me a break. Like, you know what I mean? He's still good. Like, he might not be what he was, and he's gonna decline maybe after this year. But I gotta tell you, man, Bulls fans hit the ceiling when that happened, man. Like, when they made that trade, and like, they gave up Thaddeus Young, Al-Farouq Amino, a first and 2 seconds. Big deal. I mean, like, Thaddeus Young is still productive. Amino is on the back end, but like, a first down the road in 2 seconds. Like, okay, the Bulls are like, yo, we got Levine, we got Vucevic, we got Lonzo. Let's fucking go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the time. Let's get in there. Maybe we can get into the top 4 or 5, and maybe we can make a run if people get hurt, if the Nets get hurt again, or if Giannis gets an injury, or this happens. You know what I mean? Like, there's a window there. Like, this season showed, like, there's a window. The Hawks got to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I mean? They were the 5 seed.
So then would a Bulls like offseason have been what the Knicks needed if they went with DeRozan, if they went with Ball, and then you had you don't bring in Burks and Noel and all of that, and Rose, etc. Probably don't have the numbers to make that work. But now you've got let's say you've got maybe not even Fournier. Then I don't know how that math would come up.
No, I don't.
But you got Lonzo at the point. You got R.J. Barrett, DeMar DeRozan's there. Maybe they go him at the 3 spot or Barrett at the 3, whatever the hell they want to do. And that's the roster you go with. And that's the traction you want to go with. Would you think Knicks fans would you have wanted a Chicago Bulls type offseason in that area?
I would have been happy. I would have been really happy if they got Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. Those are the 2 guys that were available. Of course, I would have been happy. I would have been freaking ecstatic because you got 2 guys who are Lonzo Ball's ascending. You don't know how good he's going to be. I mean, I don't know what his ceiling is. But he has improved his jump shot. He was like had a terrible jump shot, and now he's good. And his free throws improved a lot as well. He was like a horrible free throw shooter. Now he can shoot decently. And DeRozan is on the back end, and he got a lot of money. But you know what? Who cares? Like, you're trying to win. But I think the Bulls are a little more set up because they already had 2 All-Stars. Yeah. You have Vucevic and you have Levine, 2 All-Star level players. The Knicks have Julius Randle's All-Star. And then you have R.J. Barrett, who you're not, we think he can be, and I think you do as well. But like, and that's an outsider's perspective, but he's not there yet. So like, it's a little different. The Bulls are like a step ahead, even though they were worse if in that regard, because they went all in midseason on the trade deadline and got Vucevic, gave up the farm. My buddy Mark, he's a diehard Bulls fan, and he started liking them when he was a kid because of Jordan and whatever. But to his credit, he stuck through them. This is what he said. This is like from a diehard Bulls fan. He's in his late 30s. He loves them. He goes, outside of the draft, our front office has been a joke. They haven't really had anybody to be a trade or free agent since 1998. It was the first time with a young team then. So I love the team, but we didn't add any real pieces to get over the hump. Then they signed Wade and Rondo, both old on a shitty team. Now we have a good coach and made really smart moves. So I'm excited, but no, not as happy as I was with those Rose Bulls. You always love guys that grew up in your organization more than free agents and trades, but I'm very, very excited. So basically, this is the most pumped up he's been since Rose and Tibbs.
Yeah, I get it. I think if the Knicks made that way and they went that way, I would say, yeah, for the short term, it's going to be more fun. But I think on the back end of that, you'd be in serious shit. I rather take the Knick approach. I really would. I rather play it safe, play it smart, and let your younger players develop. There's no game changers on the free agents market. So
that's the other thing.
I can't. I would be annoyed with how happy Knick fans would be, and I would be like, hey, this didn't happen. So I think down the line, you would be punished for the DeRozan contract, and I think you would have issues on that back end of the deal that would make for complications for them when he's declining, making so much money. But I understand the excitement. It would grow early, but I think for the process of trying to win a championship, which is the number one goal for all fans, is to win the championship. Yeah, it's good to win. Yeah, you don't want to be a shitty team, but ultimately it's about getting to the title. I think that would worry me more. And I think the Knicks took the right approach, even though they did shell out multiple year deals. It's less money, and it'll be more tradable contracts, guys that are, I think, a safer bet. So even though it's not as exciting and it's kind of boring, I would say you're betting on your internal organization. Don't be so upset with that. Get excited for that. That's where the keys come. That's where things develop. That's where things get great. The Golden State Warriors won championships because Steph Curry was drafted and was internally developed. Clay was developed. Draymond was developed. And then they made the moves at the right time to get the core around that group that could help them win the championship. So maybe is that the Bulls now? No, because I don't think they have that kind of talent. I think Zach LaVine and Vucevic are good, but they're not those other guys. So that's going to be a hindrance that I think is a step below. I think if you're the Knicks, you just keep waiting until RJ gets better. Randall gets better. And then you plug in the guys when it matters. I think you take the right approach and wait. I said this last offseason with the Knicks, and I'll say it this offseason with the Knicks. This is the way to do things. This is the way to do business. So when I say meh, I think that's an okay thing. I don't think you just destroyed your franchise, and I think you should be okay with that.
Yeah, and that's why I was excited in 2019 because I didn't want the rant, which may end up being the wrong thing, and I wanted Kyrie, but I was happy that they didn't panic and sign the B-level guys like Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, those kind of guys, which Jimmy Butler might have been worth it. But either way, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't go the trade everything for Melo and then go sign Amari and then trade everything for Melo route. They went, let's get our 1 year guys. Let's get some guys in here. Let's see who we like. We got Bullock, we got Portis, we got Taj Gibson, we got some guys. Let's see what we can do. Julius Randle ended up hitting a home run on that. But like going back to the Bulls, I think the Bulls are another situation like the Knicks where they're not done. They also have guys like Kobe White and Markkanen on their bench. They can package those guys, maybe get somebody else in there. And now you're looking at the Bulls like, okay, we got these four in here now with Lonzo, LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic. If we can package those two guys, which Kobe White's 20 years old, has a lot of promise to be maybe not a star, but like a starting level point guard. Maybe we can do something there and get somebody else we're not even thinking of that can make that team even better. You know what I mean? Like, so the Bulls are not done like the Knicks are not done. They can make a deal for a point guard. The Bulls can make another deal. We don't know what's going to happen. Those 3-team trades are being discussed as we speak. You know what I mean? Like that stuff is coming.
I do. That stuff is coming. And that brings me to, Spencer Dinwiddie going to Washington. But that deal has not been finalized because the Nets are trying to work out a sign and trade. And there's been reports now that there's up to 4 or 5 teams that are trying to get involved, as Sean Marks is doing.
That's crazy.
I mean, Sean Marks is trying to get a return. That's Montrezl Harrell. That's Kyle Kuzma. I know who Nets Twitter both hate, but trying to get somebody in return. So you're not just giving Spencer Dinwiddie away for free and get somebody back. And again, that's just how it's early on in the process where we don't even know the answers to where Spencer Dinwiddie is going, which is a major part of what the Nets are. What Spencer Dinwiddie gets back. That's just a major part of what this Nets team is trying to do. So there is a long way to go on the free agency front.
Yeah, and with the Nets, let's go to the Nets. They signed Patty Mills. They got James Johnson. What else did they do? That was pretty much it for now. That's all they could do. They didn't get Dinwiddie. They're trying to deal.
So Blake's
I guess.
back. Bruce Brown
that's
is
the other one.
back.
Bruce Brown, yes.
Patty
so they ran it back.
Mills.
Yeah.
Then James Johnson they signed. Then they have all the kids they drafted in the rookie class, and that's been it. I mean, that's really it for now. So they have other roster spots to fill. They have a couple more moves left, and people forget, like the Nets last year when they signed guys late. Jeff Green wasn't on they came in a little bit later. People were like, whatever. Jeff Green ended up being their best player off the bench, who's now with
that could be
Denver
James
Nuggets.
Johnson this year. That could be James Johnson this year. He's a good player.
I don't think he has quite the offensive skill set, but I think the Nets this year and their big offseason plan was that the puzzle pieces didn't fit last year a little bit off the bench. This year it's like, all right, we got Patty Mills off the bench as a guard. Okay, we got James Johnson off the bench as a forward. He can be an enforcer. We got a 2-3 guy in Bruce Brown that can come off the bench. For the Nets, they need another guy that can shoot, and they need somebody that can rebound, and they're done. After that, pray to God they stay healthy. I mean, what else?
That's it. That's all I need to be.
I mean, when you're starting,
none of this matters if they're all healthy. None of that matters.
The starting lineup is going to be Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, or Nick Claxton. I mean, that's a good enough lineup to win.
They got to hope to get one of those guys on those vet minimums, like a Danny Green is still out there. Somebody like that, like just pick somebody up like that. Or
JJ Redick.
Yeah, somebody like for sure.
You don't think too? I mean, remember what we saw last year when the Nets signed Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah. You don't think that's going to happen again?
Of course.
Of course it is. There's going to be guys, and they're going to be
Drummond. It's going to be Drummond.
I mean, exactly. Things are going to happen, and that's just the way it is of the business, and that's just the way it is with the Nets. So you just got to kind of take a moment and say, okay, let's figure this out. We've got these pieces that are coming in here. Dinwiddie move will get us another spot. There's going to be something else later on. That's who the Nets are right now. It is. You should always be critical of the team and the moves they make, but you cannot tell me that you can't have faith in Sean Marks, that the organization knows what they're doing. They have limitations with their salary cap. Okay. They have 3 guys that are making an absurd amount of money. So for that, and Joe Harris is making a shit ton. So for them to piece it all together, you can't be like getting insane when PJ Tucker decides he wants to go for $7.5 million for 2 years in Miami. They don't have that kind of money to offer him. If he wants to go to Miami, have the fucking time of his life, make 15 mil over 2 years, what are you going to do? You got to deal with it. So kudos to Blake for taking the league min, although he is getting paid $100 billion by the Pistons still. So it's not as if he's like not making that much money, but that opened up for the Patty Mills signing, and away we go. I mean, I'm thrilled for the Patty Mills deal. There's guys that I always thought were net killers. He's on my net killer list, so I'm happy to see him with the Nets. I'm excited to have him. I think he'll be a great addition for them. He can spot up and shoot. He can run the point. I mean, he's going to be a nice addition when Kyrie Irving's gone for 5 days. I'm excited to have Patty Mills on this roster. I think that was a huge signing for the Nets. He has great playoff experience, great playoff pedigree. He's not going to be scared of the big moment. You pair him now with a bench that's going to probably look like you have Blake Griffin, Nick Claxton, Bruce Brown, James Johnson, the 2 rookies that they signed, and then other guys that come over. Let's go. Let's do it. And today was the first time, Alex, I finally felt a sense of like I'm over the net loss. I felt like I've been over it, but I felt like, you know what? Turn a corner. Let's get rolling. I felt a little bit of excitement today with the free agency market and me personally, I was happy to see some new guys come in. I know a lot of people like the idea of like, let's run it back. We talked about before with this for this net instance. I felt like seeing a new fresh set of guys in here was like a reset that we needed to move on from what happened in Milwaukee.
No, I hear you. So let's say, to get over a big loss like that, it takes, let's see, how many weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it takes about 40 days to get over a loss like that. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not over it. It's just, you're finally able to turn the page. You're finally able to like, okay, next season can start. You were like stuck in this in this weird
Vortex.
tweener stage. Yeah. And this like weird, like, what do they call it? The middle, when you're not in heaven or hell, you're just like in
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. But either way, the Nets can still get lucky with, not get lucky, but like all these players are signing with the Lakers, like all these guys on minimum deals, which is crazy. Like, why aren't the Nets getting any of these guys? I mean, it's kind of weird. I'm not making a controversy here. I'm just like, everybody's running to go play with the Lakers. They're not running to the Nets right now, but you still have guys like Millsap is out there, and your boy Enes Kanter's still out there. Those guys are the kind of guys. Well, maybe not Kanter because he's still relatively young, but somebody like Millsap, you get him on like a vet minimum or like for a 1 year, let me win a championship kind of deal. Then you're set. You know what I mean? Then you're good to go.
That's the kind of guy that is going to be out there and that they're still looking for, and that's why it's kind of funny to see, how things develop and how things move. Where you got the big boys start early, and then things start to trickle down. And you see the plug-ins that where they're needed. And those are the guys that are going to happen. The Danny Greens, the JJ Redicks of the world. Here's another name that's still out there. And I'll be really interested to see where he lands and what kind of money he makes. Victor Oladipo, from a guy that really, really lost a lot of stock because of all of his injuries that have occurred. And he was, when he was just went to Indiana before those injuries, he was putting himself to be like an all NBA type player.
Yeah. Julius Randle he was the guy you pointed to, like some guys develop late. And it was like, look at Oladipo. He was like that guy.
And then those injuries just crushed him. So I'll be kind of really curious to see where
he's gonna have to get a 1 year prove it deal somewhere.
He has to. So I would be interested if he would, would Victor Oladipo want a 1 year
coming off the bench
with the Nets where he could go for a chance to win a championship, play big minutes. I mean, the Nets don't really need more scoring on the guard front.
So but they're going to have the rest days from the big guys are going to rest, and he's going to get his chance to start and show what he can do. And Victor Oladipo always makes me laugh because my dad always refers to him as Home Depot. So every time I hear Oladipo's name, I think of Home Depot. So now I just put that out there. And now everybody listening and you are never going to forget that, Oladipo, Home Depot. But anyway, so like, it's pretty funny. But I think a 1 year prove it deal, and I think the Nets or like a big team like that is perfect for him. I don't know if he would want to go to like a Pistons or a team that, can use some veteran talent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he would want to go somewhere like that where he can really get big minutes, but it won't mean anything. You know what I mean? I think it's more like Kendrick Nunn going to Lakers is genius because he can come in, and if he gets a couple big shots or he gets some valuable minutes and shows he can play. I mean, we know he can play, but make some like big real time minutes. Like, he's already been in the finals with the Heat, but it was the bubble. You know what I'm saying? So like
different
people know the bubble, like it counts. The championship counts. It's just
it's different.
It's almost like that year didn't happen. Like the championship doesn't, like the Lakers, like kind of like people look at that like, all right, yeah, you won the title. Okay. But like, did you? You know what I mean? Like
that's why they're really reloading and trying to put people.
LeBron knows that. Yeah.
LeBron knows it. I mean, now you got Westbrook. You've got, they lost what's his name? Caruso, which was a tough loss for them. He was sort of the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah. No. He went to the Bulls too, right? He went to the Bulls too.
Did he go to the Bulls? I
think he went to the Bulls.
I think
he's in the Bulls too. Yeah. That's crazy.
The Bulls are good.
That's another good signing. So who do the Lakers get? Let's try to think of it. They got Dwight Howard, they got Trevor Ariza, they got Carmelo Anthony.
7, that's right.
Yeah. So they got Howard, Ariza, Wayne Ellington. This is off the top of my head, so I'm not sure. Obviously Westbrook, Kendrick Nunn,
Carmelo.
Yeah, I said that already.
Okay.
I call him Melo. I was looking at
me and him. NBA Twitter. Sorry.
Me and him are, for like we're on nickname basis here. So, who else did they get? I don't know. I don't even know who else they got. They got a lot of guys, but a lot of the guys they got were like bottom of the barrel, kind of like vets. Like Ariza is coming home. He won his title there, and I don't know, but we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. The Lakers are going in, man. And somehow this is the other thing, the other point I want to bring up with this podcast, this thing about like hoarding cap space, like, oh, you're wasting all your cap space. You're wasting the cap. The teams that made the biggest moves had no cap space this year. Miami Heat, the Lakers, somehow the Heat are signing Duncan Robinson to big contracts and they're still bringing guys like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the NBA. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. But like, there's manipulations. You could trade contracts that you don't really need. Like you trade a Thaddeus Young and this guy that you don't even question, you don't even think about, but they're getting whatever, 10 to 15 mil. And you match them up with an Amino who's getting something. And then you can get a DeRozan. And then it's just like, oh, look at that. We got DeRozan. Just have to give up a pick. And like, something down the road, guys like Alec Burks or Nerlens Noel or even Fournier, you package them with a pick or two, and then you can get a big star. Like, you know what I mean? Like a guy that wants to get out of there. You know what I mean? Or maybe even not a big star. Maybe a guy like DeRozan level. Like, you know what I mean? You can get a guy that's one guy and you plug him in, and then RJ developed that. You got IQ. You don't lose that guy. And then you're good. And then you keep your guys, your core guys that you drafted and you developed. And then it's not only good, you're also a fun team that you can relate to and that you can stay with and that you like. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot out there like that. And I don't know. That's my rant on the Lakers and the salary cap.
I just wanted to put a bow on this as well. Westbrook, Howard, Carmelo, Ellington, Ariza, Bazemore, and then none as well. But yeah, I mean, that's the guys they signed. But they,
but like
that is not that good.
Ariza and Bazemore and Ellington are not doing it for you. But like Kendrick Nunn,
a decent shooter.
Yeah,
Carmelo in moments. Nick. I mean, the Lakers are gonna be fascinating to watch. I mean, Lakers Nets. That's Christmas.
That's the finals they want. They want that finals so bad.
20-year anniversary of the last time they played in the NBA finals against each other.
Yeah. And I think it's the 75th anniversary of the NBA also.
Which is the 75th episode of this podcast.
Oh, look at us, man. See, this is a sign. Yeah. Knicks released new jerseys they're going to wear this year. The throwback to their original jerseys.
Good.
The original. Yeah. So like teams that have been around longer than the ABA, we've been, so we get like new, like it's the anniversary of that,
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm actually 80 years old. So like I remember when they
look good.
Thanks.
You look great for your age.
No, I'm just excited, man. I'm happy. Like that we're getting some change where things are finally like moving. We don't have to worry about rumors and source reports and people telling me this and that. And like, what do you think? I don't know, man. What do you think? I don't fucking know. But I'm just excited because the Knicks are prioritizing their development and they're upgraded and they're not afraid to spend their money. They're not signing guys like Ish Smith. Like, you know what I mean? They're signing like bring back Derrick Rose. They're bringing back Alec Burks, which I'm not the biggest fan of Alec Burks. Like I said, that was one that I could have like done without.
It's just the only thing that weirds me out about the Knicks offseason is they brought in minimal dudes last year. They developed them and then they rewarded them. It's like, is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? And I'm having this internal debate about that. And that's where I think it's really funny where it's like, we spent money on guys we developed and made better and we're disappointed. Should we be disappointed? Should we have developed guys, gotten rid of them, and then signed other guys to come in who did stuff in other places? And at the same time, it's not transformative players, so it doesn't matter on that front. And I cannot wait to hate Evan Fournier. And just that guy gets on my nerves. That guy gets on my nerves. He got on my nerves in Orlando. You put a tweet out of a video of him as a Celtic making fun or pushing around or getting into it with KD. Like that video
called him a bitch. Yeah.
and a lot of guys, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. All these guys do is chirp versus KD because they can't do shit on the court again.
Well, he chirps too, but he gives it to him on the court.
No, he does. He's a trash talk, but he has fun with it. I mean, it's all in good nature. Fun, of course, back and forth. But Fournier, when he was with the Magic, he's another guy. He is a net killer. I know there is going to be a game on December blank where I'm watching this and Evan Fournier hits 3 straight threes, gets his crowd up. The Garden crowd gets into it.
The loudest crowd ever, of course. It's always the loudest crowd.
This is me sitting at home with my cat like, oh my God.
Let me say you're sitting home with your cat, not your wife or your kid, but I'm sitting home with my cat and that's mad about the Knicks.
That's a manly thing to say out loud, See my shirt?
Men can be crazy cat ladies too.
On the surface, it isn't. You've listened to this. You're like, all I do is talk about the Nets and my cat. Like, how am I married?
I don't know, man. You have a good marriage. Your wife lets you do what you got to do, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, we do. We have a good marriage.
Yeah, you're still married, so I think things are married
all these years later.
How many years has it been?
Oh, jeez. We've been married for 9.
On the spot. 9 years? Nice.
9 years. Nice. Yeah. Known each other for 13.
Wow. Yeah. So you've been married 9 years, and the Jets haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years. So the Jets haven't been to the playoffs since before you were married. Think about that. Put that into perspective, just really quick.
Wow,
crazy.
That is kind of crazy. I think about it.
2010 was the last time they won a playoff game or been to the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think I'm right. Yeah,
that does give me perspective, and now knowing where I am.
Crap. Yeah. knowing where you are in life. Where were you when the Jets beat the Patriots in New England on that playoff game?
I was in
that nobody
Virginia.
saw coming. Yeah. You just think about that, and then you think about where they are now. But I don't want to talk about the Jets
Well,
right
because
now.
my wife is a Steelers fan, and we were dating. I remember watching Jets Steelers the next week.
Oh my god, I can still see Mendenhall running through the defensive line. Like, you know what I mean? And that first half of that game in the AFC Championship, they got down big, and then there was like they're drive like, all right, well, we're still within reach. And then there was like a strip sack on Sanchez, and they ran back a fumble for a touchdown. And I was like, oh, it's over. And that's when I thought it was over. But then they did the Jets fake tease, and they came back and then couldn't stop Mendenhall. It was just like a slow, like knife twist to the end of that season. Yeah, it was, that was
number 34, I want to say, but I could be making that up.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. It sounds like it's a running back number. Although the running back numbers don't matter anymore. Now players can wear any numbers. You heard about this? Like they can wear like single digits. Like, it's gonna be weird because you used to be able to look at a guy like, oh, that's a linebacker. Oh, that's a running back. That's a wide receiver. And you took some pride in like being like a football fan. Like I know what position.
76 O lineman, 77 O lineman.
Exactly. And now it's gonna be weird, but we'll get used to it like everything else. You like the change. Everybody hates change except for Mike Biseglia. You love everything wild. Well, why can't a kicker wear number 99, right? Why can't a kicker wear 99? Like, let him wear 99. Who cares? Right?
Well, everybody before the season, this play-in tournament, so stupid. I hate it. When I was growing up in the 90s, it was best out of 5, and Tim Hardaway was such a great player, and now his son makes more money than him. Well, okay, there's progress.
Inflation.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God. I was thinking about that the other day, though. I'm like, wow. He was a much better player than his son, but his son's gonna make so much money.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at guys like, who is it? Like Timothy Mozgov, like just a random player made more money than probably Tim Hardaway Sr.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
4 years, 64.
Yeah, and it's just it's crazy that you know that. I'm not gonna fact check you. I believe you. That was too specific to like.
I saw that the other day. I saw that.
Okay, like you got refreshed memory.
Like you know what
Mozgov.
Happens?
Yeah, well, good.
Real quick insert, story. And then you can finish. People bring back old Woj tweets from like 2012. They are fucking annoying.
Oh my God, can you believe it? Yeah, like
I have not fallen for like a fake one, but for a split second because it's the real account and it's those ones I have to.
It's like 2015. Like okay, like yeah.
What the hell are they talking about? Anyway, those have been annoying. Yeah. People are screwing with me, but. Back to what you were saying.
Well, I was saying Mozgov popped in my head because I was looking up Evan Fournier highlights to try to post a fun highlight video, and the one that I posted was when Fournier hit Fournier. I don't know. Fournier, whatever.
Don't ever Google Fournier.
Don't.
Oh.
Okay, that sounds like.
Have you Googled that? You want to Google that right now? Look on your phone live for everybody.
I don't actually.
Don't Google it.
Okay, but so anyway, so he hit a game winner. And they're celebrating, and then some big tall guy in a suit is jumping in and celebrating. It was Mozgov, and I'm like, when was Mozgov on the Magic? And I'm just thinking in my mind, like, I was like, oh, he must have been traded in some random thing.
He's been all over the place, man.
And he's got to finish that contract out. But it's just all revenue sharing. These guys get paid so much money because the NBA makes so much money. So I'd rather the players get overpaid than the owners just line their pockets. So if Evan Fournier is getting $78 million. If that's what he's getting, I think.
Over 5?
I don't even care. I don't even care what he's getting. It doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? As long as it's not like a max and it's not killing your team, which it's not, and they're tradable contracts, who cares? Like people used to obsess over Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract with the Knicks. Like, I can't believe Tim Hardaway Jr. is getting paid this amount of money. What a terrible contract. He's a starting shooting guard in the NBA or a 6-man. This is what they cost now with the salary cap increasing. Bottom line. And I'm just so tired of having this conversation every freaking year, man. Like, can you believe this guy got $5 million more than Bobby Marks thought he would get on ESPN? Like, I can't believe it. It's overpaid. It's like, who cares, man? Like, this is what it is, supply and demand. Okay, this is why it would have been what he started at. But then this team wanted to give him this, and then this team wanted to give him this. And then he said, okay, Knicks, if you offer me this, then I'll sign right now. And Knicks said, okay, fine, done, deal. And that's how a negotiation works. So it's not about how much the house is worth. It's about how much you pay for the house. It's not about the Knicks being worth billions of dollars. They'll go on the market, and they'll go for $700 kajillion because everybody's going to want that because of what it's going to increase to. That's just basic economics. And I'm just so tired of people like having to explain this to people. It drives me freaking crazy. Like breaking it down. Can you believe that he got this amount of money? Can you believe this guy got this amount of money? In my day, this guy never got this amount of money and he had more. You know, and he hasn't played as a sixth man. And who cares? I'd rather the players get the money. Players should get the money. They're the ones playing. Anyway,
I think the Knicks overpaid for Fournier.
Do you? Well, goodbye. Have a good day.
I don't know.
Go play with your cat.
No, I don't think they did. I think that's about what his market value was. I really do.
The starting shooting guard, veteran, 7-year vet in the NBA. That's what they call it.
I thought they should have put the money on Dinwiddie, but we're not doing that. We're not having that. I thought that would have been better served for them to get a playmaking point guard who can score on his own and distribute the ball. I think that makes more sense for the Knicks if you're going to give that same kind of contract out. But that's a different conversation, one that we are not going to do.
I was trying to think of in preparation for this Dinwiddie conversation of potentially them signing him. I wrote down some players that were on teams that I hated that joined one of my favorite teams, and you started liking them a little bit, but some that you ended up hating. Like this is a couple guys for the Jets. For the Jets, I'll give you two for the Jets real quick. Ty Law and Jason Taylor. Ty Law killed the Jets 3 years with the Patriots, right? I mean, there's a time the Jets sometimes beat the Patriots early on while Ty Law was early in his career. But then when he got to the Jets, I'm like, oh my God, he's on the freaking Jets. Ty Law, who the hell wants this guy? This freaking asshole has 10 interceptions that year. And you're just like, I love Ty Law. Like Ty Law is awesome. He's the best. You know what I mean? But then of course, Jason Taylor shows up. He thinks he's going to be like a backup lineman, try to win a championship on that second AFC championship team. And then somebody gets hurt in preseason, tears their Achilles. I forgot who it was. And then he's thrusted in the starting lineup, and Rex is in the Hard Knocks calling him out like, you ready to play? Are you ready? And Jason Taylor looks like he saw a ghost. And you're like, and then he doesn't even play that well that year. And you're like, and then he goes back to Miami and Washington, wherever he goes after that. You're like, screw you, bro. Like, that's a guy I never learned to like. Ty Law ended up having 2 stints with the Jets. I was happy. Okay, Ty Law, great. Tom Glavine, another one for the Mets. Tom Glavine killed the Braves for years, like over a decade.
Killed the Mets for years.
What did I say?
Killed the Braves.
He was the Braves and killed the Mets. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shows up for the Mets. Really good pitcher. Wins his 300 game with the Mets. You're right. I think he won his 300th game.
Yeah,
with the Mets.
He had. I know where you're going.
And then you know where I'm going. Every Mets fan knows where I'm going. 2007, last game of the season. Tom Glavine starting. This is my story with this game, and I'll paint the picture. I'm in Oneonta. All my 2006, 2007, I'm in Oneonta college visiting my ex-girlfriend or going to college there, right? So 2006, when the Beltran strikeout, I trashed her room. Like, this is my ex-girlfriend for a reason. Then 2007, I show up. Like, this is not why we're broken up, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Making a joke. 2007, I'm trying to find the Mets game. It's the time of the game is on. It's the last game of the season. They're blowing this huge lead to the Phillies. Then they're playing, I think, the Marlins, right? Mm-hmm. And Tom Glavine's starting. We're like, all right, Tom Glavine's a big game pitcher. We're gonna get this. I can't find the game. It's upstate New York, and it's not regular SNY. I turn it on. The game is already 7-1 in like the second inning. I just shut the game. I'm like, I can't fucking believe this crap. Like,
yeah, believe it.
I shut it up, but I turned it back on. You know, and I watched it. I suffered through it, but it was just like I was like, what the hell? So Tom Glavine's one of those guys that you learn to like, and then you ended up hating him. Like, and you don't look back at his Mets career as fondly. You know what I'm saying?
When New England Patriot great Darrelle Revis came to the Jets, could you like him?
That's a low blow, bro. That was low. Because when oh my God, that I don't want to get into my Revis debacle with Jets fans telling me it was a good trade to trade him and he's coming off this and that. That was one guy coming off knee injury. I'm like, he's going to be fine. I'm like, you better sign this guy. There's not going to be a player out here that's going to be better. And he went to the Bucs. He had 1 year, and then they could have brought him back, goes to the Patriots, wins a freaking Super Bowl, comes back to the Jets, has one decent year, and then he falls off a cliff. But he's still my guy. That's still Revis is still my guy.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to go there.
That was mean. Is there a player that comes to your mind?
That's what the joke is.
Yeah. Is there a player that comes to mind that you hated that became a net? Like, is
Paul
Pierce one of those guys? Paul Pierce?
Yeah.
That's the guy. You ended up liking him for a little bit, right?
Yeah, and then I ended up disliking him again.
Exactly.
But I mean, when he's on the team and he had that big, it's hard to, when he's in your jersey and, you put it aside and you're winning games, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ultimately I'll remember Paul more. The trade, but the net Celtics, back.
And then he was trolling the Nets after he left, right? He wore like net shorts to like a Celtics press conference when he retired or something like that, right?
Homer. Which I get. Come on, dude. But yeah, then he went to Washington, and then I think where'd he end it? He went somewhere else after that.
Clippers. Clippers,
It was the
and he
Clippers,
hit like a
yeah,
shot,
it was the
at the
Clippers.
end. And they brought him in when he's old, hit a shot in Boston, and it's like, oh, yeah, here's my jump shot.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a jersey number trivia again this week,
do.
and then the poll question. Which one are we doing first today? I always get this mixed up. Or which one do you want to do first? You want to do jersey or you want to do poll?
Let's do the poll because it relates to what we were talking about. Then we can put a bow on the podcast.
And by the way,
jersey
Dolan
number.
J. Trump is the one that's supplying the questions for our poll questions. Go make sure to check him out on Twitter and
Not
check
the poll
out all his
questions
awesome
for the jersey.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's doing all that. I'm a professional here. Check him out on Twitter and check out all his great Knicks merch.
And Tom Glavine killed the Braves for years, right? So there you go.
That's right.
We
got
all
it
make
all
our
down
mistakes.
here, baby. Bad Weather Fans, where we fuck it all up.
Where we're just regular guys talking sports.
Yeah.
But anyway, so okay.
Guy.
You're not a regular guy. You
No.
love your cat. You're a
I'm
cat
a cat
woman,
guy.
right?
Lump me in with all you dog people.
Yeah. So anyway, as of now, Knicks fans, as of now, this is the poll question, by the way. Knicks fans, as of now, they have added Fournier and brought back Rose, Noel, and Burks. How are you feeling? Incredible. I love it. Good start, but more. Like, we need more. Terrible signings. Other, comment below. What do you think won?
We need more.
Yep. Good start, but more. We want more. 72.8%. Wow. And then incredible, love it, 12.8. Terrible signings, 8.5%. Other, comment below, were 6%. Terrible signings, 8.5%. I feel like those are just people that are either just trying to be funny or like you're just miserable people. Like what? Like you just.
That was my vote. Yeah.
You know, like that's the kind of people that I think I spent this podcast complaining about, that they're looking at the dollar amount and they're getting really mad. You know what I mean? Like the dollar amounts weren't that bad. The years were a little long on some of them, but I think there's some team options. We don't know the final deals yet. Like we said, it's just the moratorium right now. They just get legal tampering time. Deals are not official yet. So everybody calm down. There could be another trade. Okay, so now some shout outs. We have our boy Ant at Anthony the Don. Good signings that don't kill us in the long run. Need to see the details of the contracts for my complete opinion. So to be determined. Let's see. Bobo Anderson is at Ann Freilich. Thought continuity was important, so I'm happy to see Rose and Burks back. Don't like bringing Noel back because we drafted Sims, and I'm nervous about what the Knicks may do with Mitch. Mitch is clearly better than Noel, and we don't need to do anything crazy there. See, the only thing I'll warn Bobo about is don't get too hyped about second round picks or rookie free agents. Like, let's see what they can do first before we're saying, I know Mitch was a second round pick, but it's that kind of story that doesn't happen often. We talked about it on the last podcast episode. So I wouldn't just pencil him in as, okay, we got Sims, we don't need Noel. Like, Noel is a veteran and he's been here, and again, he's tradable, like we said. So we have Wise Guy. He's at Wise Guy XIII. I like the front office. I like that the front office isn't rushing anything. The acquisition of Fournier is very logical, and it seems to me that the Knicks are taking it step by step. I disagree with people that they say that he's overpaid. Just look what other players got last night. We need to also keep in mind that we drafted 3 guards while having RJ, IQ, Luka, and bringing back Rose. So no, we didn't need another guard. What concerns me is that we have 2 centers who are defensive monsters, but lack offensive skills. No mid-range, little post, a lot of pick and roll. So that was a really good response. I think that's like the response of the night. That Wise Guy, you know, we should do that. Have a poll question response of the night. You know, that was pretty good. Because he broke it down. I can't disagree. Can you disagree, Mike?
Maybe it should be Mike and Wise Guy. I don't know.
I think it should be. So then, okay, now we have Vin Caravalli. He's at Vin Caravalli. Good moves, but these moves feel like a hedge. As in, all the top point guards extended or chose other teams. So let's improve and still allow for flexibility for trades and internal development. It's smart. They're towing the line between rebuilding and competing, which is true. Mm-hmm. But I don't think, and he did say, he kind of contradicted himself a little bit. He's like, you know, they still gave them flexibility for trades, but it's not really, so it's not really a hedge. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, but I get what he's saying. It's like like what you said earlier. Like, it's like, okay, you know, but that still gives you flexibility. These contracts are tradable. So that was a good one. Let's see. Well, let me go down a little more. Miguel, he's at Miguel 939251009. So he's obviously a real person. He goes, go trade for Towns. Okay, it's just so simple. Just go trade for Towns. Like, let's just do that.
That's we have a new winner tonight.
Let's see.
Sometimes it's just so simple. Okay, you know what?
Yeah, okay. Just do that. I mean, the Knicks are sitting there. Leon Rose listening to the podcast, like, why didn't I think of that? Just trade for Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh my God! You know what? I missed it. I was giving Burks an extension, and meanwhile, we could have had Towns. I'm not Sean Marks, that's for sure.
We have my girl Jasper. She's at IC_IONESCU. Sorry, I didn't want to pronounce it because I don't know how to pronounce that. We should sign Brunson. Let me start over. We should sign Brunson, though. He's cheap and could be a solid backup point guard on the Rolls. That's a guy, Brunson,
who
can come back in the Bullock trade if we can trade him to the Mavs somehow. Because they can save money if we trade in Bullock, and we can save money if the Knicks can save money if they trade Bullock.
Player.
If it's a sign and trade, and you can snag that point guard, then that's another point guard to put next to Rose and IQ, and then you got something cooking there. So that's a good point by Jasper.
You can say we. I was giving you a hard time. Continue saying we.
You got in my head with that. You got in my head.
I feel bad now that you were like we. Yeah. Don't second guess yourself. Go for it. You are we. It's okay. It's all right.
We here.
We in the Knicks. We in the Nets.
We here.
It's fine. We can say we. Yeah. We've earned it.
They still have the Big 15, by the way, but I don't know if they have 15 guys yet. But we're still going to be the Big 15. Don't steal that, okay? So and we'll end it off on a very positive note. Dan Corrigan at Dan Corrigan 02. Same shitty team. Got less than nothing in the draft. Unless they can bring in a star like Lillard, this team will regress. Great job, Leon. Go sign Melo and trade next year's number 1 for a future draft pick that's top 28 protected. You clown. That is my favorite tweet. I just like that amazing. A lot.
I love that. Hassan Whiteside just signed with the Jazz, by the way.
That's interesting.
Derek Favors kind of because he'll be gone. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's good to back up for Gobert. I don't know if they're going to trade him. I mean, Whiteside's not a starter, but I don't know what's going to happen there with the Jazz. But they just brought Conley back too, right? So they paid Conley
another title run.
Think about Conley, man. Mike Conley is like the bag secure. Like he's been paid his whole career. I don't think he's ever been an all-star, right? Or was he this year? He was one this year. I think he got it this year.
That question, but he's always been very good, but not great on that level.
But got max contracts, got big deals. He's been, dude, like, that's NBA. A guy right there. You can say Mike Conley or Tim Hardaway Sr. and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's just crazy.
Crazy to think of, Conley and Greg Oden together at Ohio State.
Yes, and Mike Conley was hitting the big shots in that NCAA tournament. Everybody's watching it for Oden, and then you're like, "Who is this guy?"
I know. That team was, man, dating myself.
So let's see Mike Conley's career earnings. I want to look up real quick.
God, let me educated guess. Career earnings, this and that, 262.
I can't find it. Hold on.
I'm gonna go 262.
Career earnings. There we go. Let's see. 262 is your guess.
Yes.
Wow. 227.4 mil.
That was a little high.
Or is that 228? Total cash. Oh, that's the bonuses. 228.4 mil. And that includes this year, but that doesn't include the 2 that are upcoming. So when it's all said and done after this contract, he'll have made $278.5 million. Mike Conley Jr. making $280 million in the NBA career. Like, that is incredible, but God bless, man. The players deserve all the money, like I said, not the owners. They got enough money. Okay, so next, we do the jersey number trivia.
So you're 1-1 versus Trump, Dolan J. Trump.
Dolan J. Trump, our president.
Full name. I'm 2-0 versus Dolan, who's now been texting us, hey, I was just, I don't know, wetting your whistle or something, just getting you ready for the big boys.
Yeah. So jersey number trivia, we started off doing it every episode based on the number. We'd guess number 32, whatever, and guessing Knicks and the Nets. And then we got into the 70s and we had to get creative. And now Dolan J. Trump sponsors our jersey number trivia and gives us our questions. So shout out to Dolan J. Trump, buy his masks and his hats and his shirts and everything like that. Go ahead, Mike. You want to go first or you want me to go first?
You quizzed me first last time. So you want to just trade off?
Okay, so you want to go first? Okay.
Well, you go first.
Okay.
No. I'll read to you.
Oh, okay.
I think you read to me first last time, and then I remember that. I did.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. That's a lot. He wore number 42 in his only season with the Knicks during the 97-98 season.
Chris Mills.
Yep.
Damn, come on, Dolan J. Trump. You got to give me something a little harder than that, man.
You know what's amazing?
Weak.
This is what's
that
so
was weak.
You know what's kind of funny is he wrote.
What are the clues? Let's hear the clues.
I mean, do we have enough time?
Is it one of those long texts like you see the joke where the girl sends the guy the long text and he goes like, "Oh, I'm sorry that happened," or congrats, but you're not reading all that though.
His notes are great, so I got to be fair. He started at small forward in 29 of the 80 games and averaged just under 10 points per game. That part is hard. This would be more of a giveaway, at least in my head. Played his college ball at both Kentucky and Arizona, and was drafted 22nd overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of the 1993 draft.
See, I wouldn't have gotten it from any of those clues. Just knowing Knicks number 42 and the end of the 90s, that was easy.
His favorite fruit is kiwi.
Chris Mills is my guy. Kiwi?
Nah, he's your guy.
Chris Mills, there were like random Knicks towards the late 90s that became my guy that were like random. Like Chris Mills was one of them. Terry Cummings was the other one. Everybody used to always joke like, oh, like my buddy Randall and Matt and like my Knicks fans that I went to the games with, like we'd always joke around like, oh, Matt Houston or like, Randall Sprewell, Randall Starks. Yeah. And I would be like, oh, Alex Cummings, here we go. You know what I mean? Like always fuck around like with like that. So like that's why those guys always stick in my head. Like it's the funny guys like J.R. Reed, like guys like that. Like those are the guys that you remember. It's like funny. As a fan.
And then you couldn't get, yesterday you could
Damian Dotson.
Couldn't remember Charles Oakley or something. Oh, Dotson.
No, Damian Dotson. I couldn't remember. Like 21 from 2018.
I don't know the numbers as well as I used to. Like to me, I couldn't even tell you like what
recent.
I don't even know what the guys are. Like if you did this year, I might have been like DeAndre Jordan. I don't think I know. 6.
You don't know what his number is.
Signed with Boston after 4 seasons in Cleveland, but never played a game there, and was traded to the Knicks in a deal that involved Scott Brooks, Walter McCarty, Dante Jones, and John Thomas. He played 4 seasons in Cleveland, 5 in Golden State after a stint with the Knicks. He appeared in the film Blue Chips. He averaged 11 points in 10 years in the league.
Chips. There was like 70 athletes in the film Blue Chips. Like Calbert Chaney was in Blue Chips. Like there was so many random Rex Walters. Yeah, there was so many random like your boy. There were so many random guys that were just like on the other team. You know
Number
what I mean?
2 for the Nets. And then finally, he was traded by the Knicks to Golden State in a deal that brought back Latrell Sprewell.
See that I didn't know. I didn't know what the deal was. That's interesting.
Dolan's gonna get me this week because I know he, after being embarrassed, he definitely went for me today.
Yeah, last week he gave me what it was, a Chris Wilcox. Like that was freaking impossible. That was a tough one.
What did I
like
have
this week he gives me Chris Mills, man. Come on, that's the easy one. That's like
what did I get last week?
Lamont Murray, I think.
Was it Lamont Murray
or his brother, whoever was on the Nets? I don't know, whichever Murray.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so ready?
Yeah,
number 10. Number 10.
Zoran Planinic.
What?
Zoran Planinic?
No, I don't even know what you just said. Did you just sneeze? Bless you.
Go ahead.
So he wore number 10 in his 2 seasons playing in New Jersey during the 2010 and 2011 seasons. So 2010, 2011, New Jersey Nets.
Okay.
He was selected 24th overall by the Hawks in 2010, but was traded on draft night to the Nets in a deal that involved Jordan Crawford's draft rights.
I'm struggling here. Okay. This is my worst era of Nets.
Okay. So he started small forward in 9 of 25 games he played in 2010 and started all 7 of the games he appeared in 2011.
Is that all I get?
No, there's a lot. His career scoring average is 4.1 points. You're not going to get it from that.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
He won a ring with his final season in the NBA with the Spurs in 2014. I won't give you the college yet because you get colleges very easily.
This is my worst era of Nets. This is when I got to Virginia.
Oh, this might help. This might help. Before I give you the colleges, which you'll probably get. He switched jersey numbers to number 14 in 2 games he appeared in Brooklyn Nets in 2012 before missing the rest of the season due to a recurring issue with his broken foot.
Now I'm getting laughed at by Dolan. Okay, so he was number 10.
Then switched to 14 before he broke his foot, I guess, a couple times.
Oh, I should know this. This is
bad.
bad.
Give you the college, the last one. You want to take a second to think? Okay, he attended. This is his last clue. He attended the University of Texas, where he played alongside fellow freshman Kevin Durant and Alex Vanessa's favorite DJ Augustin.
So he played He played. Oh my God, this is terrible. This era of Nets is hard for me for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like this is where I
It's not a
fell off.
common name. I gotta be honest. It's not somebody that like if you gave me his name, I've heard the name and I know the name, but like I can't tell you what he looks like. I'd just be honest with you.
All right, let's go through this one more time, and if I can't get it
Okay.
right away, I'll concede.
24th overall in 2010, and it was a
Okay.
draft day trade.
So
the
24th
Hawks.
overall from Texas in 2010. 24th overall in from Texas in 2000.
The Jordan Crawford kind of draft rights deal.
2010. Okay, so 2010. Yep. Okay. All right, keep going. Let's just do this go through them one more time. If I can't get
Okay,
it,
he started at small forward in 9 of 25 games he played in 2010, and started all 7 of the games he appeared in 2011. His
and he
career
won
scoring
a title
average
with
with
the Spurs.
Yeah,
That's the clue.
he's 2014 he won a title with the Spurs, but I'll make that hint a little better. I don't think he was a major piece.
I figured it's not Tim Duncan. Okay,
it wasn't like it was like probably like Kevin Willis or Steve Smith sitting on the end of the bench. Winning the title with the
I
Spurs.
got you. I got
something
you.
like that. You know,
but boy, he was in the league fast and furious.
Yeah, in and out, bro. But he got a title, bro. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So he went to finish them off. Just rapid fire them, and then I'll answer.
Won a ring with the Spurs in 2014. 4 points per game with the Nets in his career. He attended University of Texas with Durant. He switched numbers to 14 in the 2 games he appeared in for the Brooklyn Nets in 2014 before missing the rest of the season due to recurring issues with a broken foot.
So they're saying he was a teammate of Durant's.
Yeah.
Damn, I should know that. This is bad. I don't know.
Let me give you if I can find one more.
No, this is bad. I'm so mad at myself. I hate this era of Nets.
Oh, that's not the same Damian Jones. I gave you the name. Damian James, not Jones.
Oh my God. I mean, come on.
Damian
James. He's going after me. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what he did last week for me with Chris Wilcox.
I didn't know that. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, the clues are not very helpful. Yeah.
No, I mean, if I was
James.
Yeah,
who the hell is that?
No, that's bad. I mean, I should have known it. He
was a first round pick, so you would think that you would know it. Like that.
Yeah, he did a good job. There's no excuses. Yeah, I was bad.
That's a good one.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was only in the league for 4 years and won a title. Yeah, played 5 games for the Spurs.
I'll say this.
14. Yeah.
Dolan is the biggest Nets fan I've ever met.
Oh, damn.
It's true. I mean, no, he's not one anymore, but he knows his Nets. There's no way around that. I'm not saying he likes the Knicks now. I know he swithed. He's got he's a great Knicks fan, but he loved his Nets. There's no way around that.
Quick prediction: what's going to happen next? Knicks going to make a 3-way trade. The Nets going to make a 3-way trade. What's your next thing for the Knicks and the Nets? Give me one thing that's going to happen for the Knicks and the Nets. What do you think's next?
For the Nets, they're going to obviously make the Spencer Dinwiddie deal. They're going to get something back in return from Washington, and then for them, they're going to just bulk up, get one more shooter. I'm hoping it's like a JJ Redick, maybe a Danny Green. Probably can't afford that. If not, get some size. But that's what I'm saying. Whatever. It's hard to answer that question, Alex, because I don't know what they're going to get in return in the Spencer trade, and I think that will dictate where they go. So, I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I really
no,
believe
it's not.
that.
It's not. It's not, because who the hell knows? It's just a what do you think, the kind of thing. I'm not gonna hold you to it. So Knicks, what do you think they're gonna do?
I think they're going to get point guard depth, and then they're going to sign somebody they're going to get point guard depth. They need to add a point guard.
Mm-hmm. And I think the Nets are going to, based on the Dinwiddie deal, we don't know what it's going to be, but I think they're going to sign a guy like a Millsap. I think that could be a really good target for a low, I want to win a ring kind of guy. Because who's paying big money for Paul Millsap in 2021?
Everybody's saying that he's washed up.
Yeah, but that's the perfect guy to come in, give you 10 minutes. That's what you're looking for, 15 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a veteran. He's been around the block. He knows what he's doing. He's been in the playoffs. You know what I mean? He's tested guy.
After going through that playoff series, I cannot wait for the playoffs. It's so far away, but I'm like, I feel I feel like I was a little bit of a nervous wreck with the Nets in the playoffs, and I'm not
Mhm.
saying I won't be a nervous wreck, but I feel like I got more playoff experience, and I do think there's something to this. Harden came mid-season. He wasn't like our guy. These are our like Durant hadn't played. Kyrie was kind of in and out. Now this is my team, and I feel more of a connection than I did. And I do think there's going to be something fun about that when the next season starts. That I could be like Kyrie, Durant, James Harden are Nets. And let's keep an eye too on Alex. They're available for extensions. So let's see what happens with that. That's, obviously more than anything,
Big deal.
it's probably the biggest deal of it all.
Yeah, and I know I said last year or during the season and on this podcast that they better win it this year, or as in last year, they better win it because it could blow up. But with the injuries and everything happening like that, I think that gave them another again, like I'm going to say it again, like it has to happen. Like, you know what I mean? You can't keep going, oh, we'll get them next year. We'll get them next year. We'll get them next year. And then before you know it, they're old and they're leaving. And you're just like, oh my God, what just happened? Like, you got to get it. Like, you know what I mean?
You think I sat on my
yeah.
fucking couch for an hour after they lost the Bucks?
But you see, this is why I respect you. This is why I respect you. You're not coming into the season with arrogance. You're coming into it with fear. You're like, no, this is you. Even last year, you're like, this is not sure. This is not definitely going to happen. Like, you're confident. You're a little arrogant, but had every right to be. You're like, I got the 3 of the best players in the NBA right now on my team. Like, what the hell do you think? But like right now, you're not coming into the season like, oh yeah, the Knicks or this team like the Bucks or whatever. We'll beat them. Who cares if his shoe was whatever. You know what I mean? You're not doing that. You're just like, I just can't wait for the playoffs because I want everybody to be healthy and I want to win a championship.
Yeah, because this is the window. This is a window where they have an opportunity. They're one of the teams in the mix to win it all. I think a lot of teams can feel that way after what we saw in this past playoffs. But man, yeah, like here we go. If we're healthy, we can have some fun. We can do this. We're in the mix. Get me to it. There's no guarantees. Something bad will eventually happen, I'm sure. But maybe not. Maybe this is the year that they pull through and do it. And I'm excited to fall in love with all these new Nets. I'm excied to be a Patty Mills guy. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, hopefully Patty Mills isn't starting for you in the playoffs. That's just what you got to hope for. Like, that doesn't happen, and then that's going to be a problem. But on that note, let's. Sorry to put that bad juju out there for you, but I'm not sorry because I hope they lose.
I mean, I
don't hope anybody gets hurt, but I hope they lose.
We're only 2 months away, man.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. It's almost football season too, man. Can you believe the preseason starting soon? Summer League is next week. Cool. Or this week. It started tonight. I think there was Summer League games on.
I think there was. Yeah, there was Summer League action.
Weird.
Jeez,
anyway.
Kevin Knox in the Summer League. I mean, do you think that's like respect or like, oh my God?
I think it's a little pathetic, to be honest. It was kind of like, what?
Like, what is he trying to improve? Or it's not for him to improve his game.
Because you're going to play against a bunch of guys who are not going to be in the NBA. You're playing a bunch of G League guys.
Is it just for confidence?
I don't know. Man. I got to be honest. Like, people are like, oh, it's good he wants to play. Yeah, it is, I guess. But it's kind of like, dude, like, maybe he wants to put something on tape and get people excited again.
No, it's a point where it's past, like.
Well, Nate Robinson did it in like his 3rd year also, and he won the Summer League MVP, and everybody like laughs about it. But Nate Robinson's like, I just wanted to play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like whatever.
With Knox's track record is just, it's an odd one. Here's something that's interesting too from the Nets side, and read what you want with this. Mm-hmm. Nick Claxton now not part of the Nets Summer League.
Oof. Interesting.
Why?
Maybe he's getting traded with Dinwiddie, or
I don't know. I mean, I think that's that's interesting.
Maybe he just wants the rest, because he had some injuries.
Yeah, but he's like so in the wheelhouse of the guy that's in the Summer League and just has monster numbers. You know what I mean?
The Knicks are gonna have a stacked Summer League team with Quickly and Toppin and Grimes and like. Just like their Summer League team with Knox. Their Summer League team is gonna be stacked, dude.
No,
like, it's like Vildoza is on the team too, McBride, all the rookies they got and stuff. Even the guy Ruckus something, the stash pick that they got is gonna be on the Summer League team. Anyway, we can talk about this stuff all night.
Rookie of the Year, Nets.
Right.
Right. I kind of like. I'm still going. I kind of like the idea that the Nets have these younger guys mixed in. I think it'd be kind of cool. Like if they get Maybe they come in and give minutes. I think it's gonna be fun. Man, I'm just hyped up.
I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing because by the next podcast we record later this week, those guys could be totally traded. Like, screw those guys. It's like, it's just so funny.
The second you got, the second all of a sudden John Collins is on the Nets. Well, peace.
Like, who did we draft this year? Yeah. You'd be like jersey number trivia in 2027. You'd be like, who was drafted in 2021? He didn't played one summer league game, and then he was traded. Anyway,
15 pounds later with another cat on my shoulder.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode number 75, the free agency period. Still a lot to get to. When you listen to this, there could be more moves made. Hopefully there are as we get excited for that. But check us out on YouTube. If you want to see the video version of this, just type in Bad Weather Fans. And if you're listening on Apple, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. Spotify, download this bad boy. The support is greatly appreciated. Alex, NBA free agency, a couple days in the books, another fun podcast. Good shit as always, my man.
All right. Have a good one.